Is it broken?
No, it works. I think. Yes, I think it works. Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry I'm a little bit late on today, 3 minutes late. I had some internet difficulties, so I've been not getting enough juice here to go live, but here I am live now a few minutes late. So sorry. It's Wednesday and it's May 19th, I believe. Yes, it is. And I'm coming live from Portugal. So today, there's not too much on our list today, but I did want to talk a little bit about something I thought of. So two things, actually. We're going to talk a little bit about the Egypt tour. And then I also wanted to talk about including costs or labor costs and all kinds of other costs into your product, because there are the product costs, which obviously Blend Precisely is calculating really nicely for you, and you get all of these little broken down costs for your containers and your labels and your ingredients and sales tax, shipping, and so on. But what does it really cost you to prepare all of these? And I wanted to share my screen and do it actually with you just on the spot together. I took a few notes to remember all of the things we do as an aromatherapist. So I'm going to share my screen in a moment, and I was thinking of doing this with you together. But just upfront already, let me just share my screen here. Share screen. There we go. So I don't know if you remember, but I talked a few weeks ago about the Naha Egypt tour, and I just wanted to mention one more time in this live here that there are still a few spots available, and this one is a really beautiful, it looks like an amazing tour to go to Egypt and actually be involved in the entire setup and processes of different distillers. And Radgeis is a beautiful lady who is organizing this together with Naha. And I just wanted to actually go through this here with you, because it's a 10-day tour, I believe, 5 nights at the Hilton Pyramids Golf Hotel, and then 4 nights at the Hurghada Hilton Plaza. And excuse my, my pronunciation, I'm not sure how you say that, but it looks like 24 meals are included, including breakfast, lunches, and dinners. And then you get a full day tour as well of the pyramids and the Sphinx. Wow, this looks beautiful. And then a round-trip transfer is included to the factory in Tanta, located at Quito. Full day in Cairo, Egyptian Museum, and so on. I cannot pronounce all of this right now. A round trip transfer to the factory, and let's see, in Fayoum. And gosh, so much more. So lunches in local restaurants includes water and soft drinks and modern air-conditioned motor coaches and the services of English-speaking tour managers and so on. So there's a lot being done on this tour, on the Naha tour, in conjunction with Radka. And you will be able to visit distilleries and papyrus and carpet factories and a lot of other things. So I know that this must be an amazing tour, and I'm hoping to attend this next year, not this year because I'm too booked already, but next year it should be on my list. But I wanted to just go through this one more time in case you don't know where to be in October, end of September, beginning of October. This is your chance maybe to go and take this tour. I'm going to post this one later, but it's righttravel.info, Naha Group Egypt tour. And it just sounds really, really lovely to go through one of those tours in Egypt to see all the distillers over there. This must be just an amazing tour. And I think it's not the first time she's doing it. It's definitely the second, maybe even the third time she's offering it. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. And hello, Sylvia. Going to the Egypt tour would be my dream come true. I know, right? Yes, I think it's just really sounds lovely. But I wanted to show you one more time. She sent me an email and she said there are still a few spots available. So I wanted to share this one on my live here. And if not this year, hopefully next year, but maybe you have time to go this year. So they're departing JFK, 9 nights accommodation, all transfers, most meals and sightseeing included. And then the price, I think, let's see at the bottom, if you take an airplane and land, so everything included is $3,759. And then also land only is $2,859. I'm just gonna turn off my emails quickly to not be disturbed. Okay, so yeah, this is the tour, but let's get back now to what else is actually involved in our production time. So I just wanted to do this with you quickly together, and I think you can see my face as well as my document. But we know already the raw ingredients cost, and let me make this all a little bit bigger. Here, the raw ingredient costs is definitely clear to us, and we can calculate that and blend precisely easily. And the rest is actually going to come as well. But I wanted you to get an idea, maybe to think about, and I've got my notes down here. So what we do in a recipe calculation, but also everything recipe labor costs, there's quite a bit more involved. So what we do is, first of all, we do a research of the oils, and then we enter the recipe into Blend Precisely or anywhere else, wherever you're calculating it, for cost calculation. Then here we go. Then we have the measuring of the ingredients. Then we definitely do the mixing / blending of the product. Then there's another mistake here, mixing. Then we are going to do the bottling or jarring. I don't know how you call it. Bottling, you know what I mean by bottling, basically putting everything into the bottle or jar, depending what you do. Then we have to label the product, and then we have to also package it for either the customer, or if you sell larger amounts, you would also have like another packaging, maybe for sending everything, like 10 or 12 items, 6. Normally when you have a wholesale account, you go buy 6, 12, 18, 24 pieces. You normally have always a minimum quantity they order. So you would package your actual product and maybe even package it then again into one of the bigger boxes. But that's a little bit depending on if you have wholesale or retail. And then for all of these ones, and that's what I did as well, for all of those ones, I took like just my phone as a watch to just really see how much time I actually spend on researching of the oils, entering it into Blend Precisely and calculating it, measuring of the ingredients, then obviously pulling them all out, measuring them, and then putting them or mixing and blending, and then putting them in the bottle, adding the label, maybe label the product, but also what is involved, print the label, and then package it for the customer. But then you also have to obviously do the administrative part, maybe printing of the invoice, and then updating your inventory. So all of these items, and let me see if you find any more, just put them in the comments as well. So if you calculate all of this together, normally just doing it for one person after a consultation, that's probably a good hour which goes in there. So you do want to have your hourly, like what do you pay yourself? And that's obviously everywhere very different, but let's just take the amount of 15. And then you would be saying, okay, if this costs me $15 to research the oils, and then we calculated the measuring, the labeling, the packaging, the printing, the updating of the inventory, and all of this comes maybe to $15 an hour. You somehow need to justify that in your costs as well. So if you work obviously with within a consultation, you're trying to calculate that already maybe into your consultation fees. But if you're doing a wholesale market, or if you go, for example, to an art market and you have to produce 20 of these same products, then you might be spending for 20 products 1.5 hours. So the costs of your actual labor costs, of course, can be distributed then to 20 products. So often it takes us almost the same amount of time doing one product as we would be doing 20 products. So what I find really beautiful, once you have a recipe and you know that recipe works really, really well, you can just pull it, print it, and then measure everything. So this part here, the bottling, the measuring, and so on, alone for me, I know going to the post office, sending it off, often takes around 30 minutes. And then also the research of the oils, if it's a complete new blend, you do need to put quite a bit of research in what you want to blend for your customer. Now, if you go to an art show, you probably have like 3 to 5 different products maybe, and then those products can be made in bulk already. So normally I spend then a morning creating all of the products and then labeling them all and getting them ready for the market. But I would really, that came actually to me the other day. Again, I would definitely see that you time once your efforts in whatever you do, not just in product creation, but also see how long it takes you to write emails, to answer customers, to get a feeling of the time involved per customer. So you can judge how many customers you can actually do per day, but also maybe how many products you would be able to produce per day. And depending, of course, as I mentioned, if you're in a consultation or service-driven environment, product environment, maybe you have a combination of both. Yeah, so I'm gonna just put a few numbers here. Maybe this will take you, well, let's put 20 minutes. It's depending how many materials you have, how new you are, what you have available. This one is 5 minutes for me when I'm calculating the product out. The measuring of the ingredients can take around 5 to 10 minutes. Then you have the mixing of blending in the product. Basically, the measuring of the ingredients. Again, are you making soap? Then, of course, it's a complete different story than making like one small bottle. So you might have different, creating a soap can take 30 minutes, mixing and blending everything. Creating a small amber bottle with like a rheumatoid arthritis blend might take only 5 minutes. So here we know it's going to be 5 to 30 minutes, maybe depending what it is. Then the bottling itself and the packaging of the soap or the bottling itself can be 2 minutes. Putting the label on, we know that can be fairly fast, but if you have to print it, it can be anywhere between 1 to 10 minutes. Packaging it for the customer, I always take great care on how to package my products. I really wrap them in some silk paper, and then I put the label on. I put a personal note in. So there's a lot for me involved to do. So I would say for me, it would be 10 minutes for sure. And then printing the invoice, obviously you have to go online and do all of this. Maybe that's a 5-minute effort. And then you have updating your inventory, maybe goes automatically. If you have Shopify, that will do it. Shopify does it automatically as soon as somebody buys something. But if you have to do an inventory update somewhere else, then this would take maybe another 5 to 10 minutes. And then you can easily see how long it will take you. So on the low end, it will take you 20, 25, 30, 35, 37, 38, 48, 53, and plus another 5 minutes. So 53, 55 minutes already. So if, oops. And then on the high end, it will be a little bit longer, 20, 25, 35, 65, 65, 75, 85, 95, 102 minutes. So this one here with an hourly wage, then you're anywhere between 15 to maybe, and then we can calculate that out more specifically, obviously, but 15 minutes to $15 to maybe $25 or $30 almost. Oops, for the production. So I would really, the costs, hourly wage. So the costs here would be 15, sorry. We are talking in dollars, 15 to $25. And if this one is based on an hourly wage of 15, maybe even 16.50 actually. So here we go. So if you sell a product, you probably want to make sure that you, let me come back to you. You probably want to make sure your video frozen now has disappeared. Not sure if this is just my computer or at your end. Not good. I'm not sure. If anybody can see me, let me know quickly in the comments. Maybe there's just something wrong with my connection because I had problems earlier jumping on. But anyway, I just wanted to go through the Sylvia, in case it froze on me, I will make sure somehow that I can either record it again or maybe it has recorded and something is off with the connection. But I can see you. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so in general, for the calculation of the cost, so if we would not calculate this in, so basically if you spend, let's say, an hour on creating a product and you would not calculate that in anywhere in your costs, that means you're really losing out on money, because what could you do in that hour normally? If you don't pay yourself for that hour of work, or if you don't have that included in your calculations for consultations or in your overall, I don't know if you do courses or teaching or workshops, the preparation time, any of this. So really in the beginning, when you're starting out, or even maybe in between as a checkup, I would take your phone as a timer and time out everything you do just once. If you do, of course, many different products, you probably want to time out the different products. But you do need to get a feeling how many minutes or how many hours you spend on preparation for something. And we can fool ourselves, and suddenly the day is over, and we calculated maybe our product nicely, but we did not calculate our labor time in. And that is just so important. And I would love to see if anybody actually calculates their own labor time in, and if you go by an hourly rate or if you have it figured out. And then you also want to think about maybe adding an error margin in there. So we know that we can create our products most likely the fastest, but what down the road, if you need to get some help, for example, or if you ask someone else to do it, of course you can outsource all of your product creations, especially if you were in a wholesale market, you at one point can outsource them. But what if you were to give it to someone else to create it? How long would it take them to do it? So you might want to put another 10 to 20% error margin on this. So you know that creating one product takes you maybe 55 minutes, but then the other person add on another 5 to 10 minutes, maybe as an error margin, or maybe even 20 minutes, because they have to get along. They don't know the oils, they don't mix as quickly, they are very careful maybe in how they mix everything. And that's why I think labor costs are one of those items which are probably overlooked or not really calculated well, because we are trying to be nice to the price, but that is really not helping us down the road. So, okay, so I have, I want to see who that is actually. It's like one of those, I think it's in the group, and I do an hourly rate plus overhead percentage. Exactly. And that is another one, the overhead percentage. So lights, internet, heat maybe for your room, the rent, or anything like this is an additional cost. But it's depending how you calculate it. Everybody is a little bit different. But what I do is, like, per month, you have an hourly or an overhead cost of, let's say, the rent, and then you have the heat, you have the internet. So let's say you have another $650 per month. And then you need to see if you maybe divide up those costs based on the products you produce per month. And then you divide those fixed overhead costs, which are hard. I mean, if you create one product or 300 products, the light and the internet and the overhead costs will stay the same. So you might want to think about, you need to break even at least at one point, and then of course create a profit for yourself. But if you overlook those costs of your hourly rates, of your overhead, and your production cost or your raw ingredient costs, then we will have a problem, because you will not become profitable, or you won't have a business basically. And that is something dangerous, I think, where we all try to cheat a little bit. And in the beginning, that's totally fine, because we have to get up and going. And you most likely will put more time out, more effort, more money, advertisement money, and so on. But it should be somewhere down the road part of your calculation. So let me just go in here quickly. Okay, I can see you. Okay, Julie, I can see. Oh, Julie said, okay, I do an hourly rate and overhead percentage. Exactly, yes. And yeah, I can see it now here on the phone, because it's in a group, and there I can see the names. And Tracy said, I can see you. Okay, perfect. All right, so yeah, that's basically it from my side. But I wanted to talk to you and see how you're doing it, because I'm curious as well. We are going to incorporate this as well in Blend Precisely, that you can enter your hourly rate and then have it automatically calculated. But for that, of course, what we cannot take away is that you calculate how many minutes or how many hours it takes you to produce your products, or how many hours you work actually on in your consultation for a customer. That you do need to time. But we will include this as well in the calculation costs of Blend Precisely, so it's easy to just put your preference in, $15 per hour, or 20 or 25 or $7.50 or whatever it is, wherever you are. And then you can say, I worked 66 minutes, and then it will calculate that cost automatically in. So that will happen. But for that, I would go through the exercise of calculating or measuring your time. So yes, that's it from me today, because that one actually came up, as I mentioned the other days. Like, we really need to make sure that we pay ourselves, and not only just to survive, but also to reinvest into our business, or to be able to buy a cup of coffee. That's it from my side. So if there are no other questions right now, let me know if you have any other questions. I'm going to stay on for a few more seconds here to see if anybody has a question. But I can, if you want the breakdown of what I just wrote, I can also post that But I think it is a very smart idea to do the hourly rate and the overhead percentage as well. That's a good point because you do want to distribute the costs as much as possible onto your products or services you have. All right, Sylvia, I hope you could see me again. And if not, I will see you next Wednesday again. And if there's anything else in between, I obviously will post it directly into the group, Blend Precisely group as well. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.